What's going on? I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and as you come in, please hit the thumbs up button. Let me know what city you're from. Today, we're going to talk about Joe Biden and white supremacy. I was inspired to have this conversation because there's a brother that I respect that I've known for about 16 years now by the name of Charlemagne the God. And Charlemagne made a comment about a Republican who I believe is going to run for president, and his name is Ron DeSantis. And Charlemagne made a statement that I think a lot of you would agree with. He said that Ron DeSantis is a white supremacist, and I think he was referencing some policies that DeSantis was pushing in terms of seeking to manipulate the curriculum in the public school system, things like that. Now, as we get started, first off, shout out the city you're from. And I want to quickly acknowledge Yoshika and Shania and Alfonso Davis from the Bronx and V the Great. That's who voted for him. So, okay, DJ Specs, Cameron, what's good? What's good with you too? All right, and shout out your city. Hit the thumbs up button. So, and I'm on my way to Dallas. We're doing a Black Wealth Summit in Dallas on the 19th and 20th. So if you'd like to join us, just go to boycewatkins.com to learn more. So anyway, so Charlemagne made this comment about Ron DeSantis, and I was aware of the comment from my friend Teslin Figaro, who is part of the Breakfast Club. And first, I'm going to ask y'all a question because I really want to make some points here to help us understand some things, and then I'm going to reveal some information that will probably surprise you. First off, let me ask this. Give me a yes or no. How many of you agree that Ron DeSantis is a white supremacist? Do you agree? How many of you would agree with Charlemagne's comment that Ron DeSantis is a white supremacist, that maybe he puts white folks ahead of black folks? He's not exactly a guy who sees all ethnicities the same. Give me a yes if you agree with that statement. What's up, Pete Rock? Pete Rock and CL Smooth. Was it? You had so many great songs, man, and I have so much respect for you, by the way, brother. He's very political, very intelligent. I like this guy a lot. We follow each other on Instagram. Anyway, so how many of you agree? How many of you would say, yeah, I agree. I think that Charlemagne's on point. All right, so I'm going to say yes, I agree too. I agree 100%. And now that we kind of agree that DeSantis would fit that category of white supremacy, I want to ask you another question. And then I'm going to tell you the results of a poll that I took amongst intelligent Black people. Let's consider another guy that you may know about by the name of Joe Biden. Now, Joe Biden is he's the king Democrat. He's the president of the United States now. How many of you, give me a yes or no, how many of you would agree that Joe Biden is also a white supremacist? Let's ask that question for today. I want to ask this question because I want to make some points today to help us really start to think about what it means to be politically intelligent. How many of you would agree that Joe Biden is a card-carrying white supremacist? Give me a yes or no. Some of you are going to say yes. I'm going to tell you what I predict. I predict that 8 of you for every 8 of you that say yes, 2 of you are going to say no. Why is that? Why is that? Well, because I took a poll today. Remember, I'm a statistician. My master's degree is in statistics. But so I did a poll that's admittedly unscientific, though. I'm going to tell you why. But I did a poll on my platform. I have about 1 million people that follow on different YouTube channels and all that. And I said, do you think Joe Biden is a white supremacist? On the YouTube channel, 82% of you said yes. 20% of you said no. So what's interesting to me is, when you talk about politics, the thing that drives me crazy, and I'm not saying Charlemagne's in this category, but there are some people out there, and I'm going to let you figure out who they are. I'm not even going to say no names. But you got these pimps. You got these Democratic Party pimps. Some of these pimps live in the pulpit. Some of these pimps are running your local NAACP. Some of these pimps got YouTube channels with, where they will talk about racism all day long and everything else just to get you triggered, just to get you in a certain mindset. And what these pimps do is they have this real selective outrage. They have when we're talking about what happened in New York with the white boy and the black guy on the subway train and all that, we're not going to go into that. But selective outrage, right? So does anybody else notice this? Does anybody else notice that there are some people, and I'm talking about these pimps in the pulpit, not Charlemagne, though. I like Charlemagne. He's a friend of mine, so I'm not dissing you, Charlemagne. If you see this is not a diss. But you got these pimps that will only notice racism when it's coming from the Republicans. Anybody else notice that? These long-legged pimps that have exploited the pain of black people for decades, if not hundreds of years, or organizations, some of these organizations have been around over 100 years. They've exploited the pain of black people and consistently, almost like when they were trying to tell you that getting the jab was the solution to all your health problems. You've been eating Taco Bell and Wendy's and Burger King and Popeye's chicken every day, and you 400 pounds overweight, and your blood pressure's through the roof. But they convinced you during the pandemic that getting a shot from Merck and Pfizer was going to make it okay. It's going to be all right, right? Just get this jab and your fat, bubbly ass ain't going to have no other health problems none at all, other than nothing. Like, you have no more, you're going to be fine because Mr. White Man showed up with the solution that's going to save your life. Now, how many of y'all believed for 1 second that just getting that shot was going to protect you from all the things that are killing black people? How many of you believe that literally getting the shot was going to get rid of all the things? If you took a list of the 10 things that kill black people the most, I don't think that virus is in the top 10. How many of y'all really believe that jab was going to save you? It wasn't going to save you. But at the same time, the people who were trying to tell you to get the jab were people that were seeking to profit from your fear. They were profiting from your pain. They were profiting from the fact that you were scared, like a lot of us were. A lot of us didn't know what to think during the pandemic. I'm not judging if you got the jab or didn't, but I'm hoping that if you did get it, you understand that getting that jab ain't going to protect you from diabetes. Getting that jab ain't going to protect you from heart disease. Getting that jab ain't gonna protect you from having that stroke because you've been eating barbecue and fatty food and greasy food and sugary food for your entire life. Getting that jab ain't gonna protect you from the spike in colon cancer that's affecting tons and tons of people because of vitamin D deficiencies and things like that, right? So here's what I'm getting at. Here's what I'm getting at. The same way they tried to convince you that getting the jab was the best way to keep a black man safe, they also try to convince you that getting the political jab, meaning showing up and voting for the same Democrats every single election, is going to solve the problem of racism in America. That somehow that if you keep the Republicans out of office, that's going to make the world safe for black people again. And now I want to ask y'all this: how many of you feel that this strategy has been working? How many of you feel? I mean, nobody's more of a loyal voter than black people. Nobody's shown up to the polls more consistently than us. Nobody has supported a party as reliably as we have. Everybody else is conditional. Everybody else says, well, I'll vote for you if you give me what I want. We don't do that. We show up and we say, Master, what can we do? I just wants to serve you, and I just wants to make sure you're good, and I just wants to make sure that I'm gonna get my rewards in heaven, right? I'm gonna get my reward in heaven, right? That's how we show up, right? Do you think that this strategy has been working? Has this improved your community? Has it made life better for black people? Is there any area where you can point to where our lives are markedly better than they were, say, in the 1950s or something? Yes or no? I'm going to argue the answer is no. And I have the data to prove it. I'm not making this up. This is not me just saying things. So what I really want to point to in this quick conversation that I want to have with you is that, sure, if you want to tell me that Ron DeSantis is a white supremacist, I don't care. So what? Okay, cool. I'm not going to vote for the guy. I never have. I've never voted Republican in my life. But I do expect something in return from the people that I actually vote for. See, the Republicans don't owe me nothing. They don't. I mean, they're supposed to govern everybody, but let's just be clear. In politics, you take care of the people that support you. I ain't never voted Republican, so I'm never going to ask a Republican to do anything. I'm never going to expect anything from them because why would you give me anything? I ain't giving you nothing. I've never shown up and said, "Oh, let me vote for that. Let me vote for Trump." I'm not that guy. However, if I am the guy that's showing up and voting for a Joe Biden, I'm going to say, okay, now when am I going to get my return on investment? When am I going to get my payoff just like you got your payday? So here's the thing. When I took this poll, and now mind you, it's admittedly unscientific because it's just a YouTube poll. I took a poll and I said, how many of you think that Joe Biden is a white supremacist? Yes or no? 82% of the respondents said yes. And now it's unscientific because these are not, you're not regular black people. You're a little smarter than most. Your IQs are higher than most. Your education level tends to be a little bit higher. It doesn't mean we don't have people here. We have some people in the crowd that are young and didn't even finish high school, but we have a lot of people that are just forward thinking. We have a lot of people that are outside of the box, that have deliberately broken out of the matrix, broken away from the corporate plantation, who are trying to break generational curses. So we're not the masses. We don't represent what the masses think. So I'm sure if they took this poll on, say, the Steve Harvey show, they will get a different result. No disrespect to the people that listen to Steve Harvey, but as you can imagine, it's a different energy. It's a different level of conversation, right? It's not yucking it up every 2 minutes about any little joke. It's not, my goal is not to make you laugh. My goal is to make you think. He makes you laugh. He's a smart man. I like Steve Harvey a lot. I do. I have no problem with him, but his job is to make you laugh. My job is to make you think. Thinking is harder than laughing. Laughing is an opiate that makes you feel better, even if you're in the worst condition. Thinking requires energy, and it requires you to concentrate, and that's just not fun for some people. Some people don't really want to think, and I get it. I totally get it. I respect it, and I'm not dogging it at all, but I understand that that's the limitation. He's taking you to the ice cream parlor. I'm taking you to the gym. Right? Each place has its benefits. One's a short-term benefit. The other is a long-term benefit. So those are two different types of atmospheres. So again, if you took the poll on the Steve Harvey show, I bet you that it would drop from, say, 82% to maybe 68%. I'd be curious. Steve, if you're watching, go take the poll, because I'd love to see what your audience thinks. Or Ricky Smiley, same thing. A lot of these shows are run by comedians. I'm not trying to be a comedian because I don't believe the black man needs to always be a joke. I don't want to be the court jester. I want to be the king. And when you're the king, you are a threat. When you're the comedian, nobody's threatened by a comedian. Nobody's ever been threatened by somebody who shows up just to tell jokes. No disrespect, but that's just true. That's why black men tend to get ahead in society if they're telling jokes and making white people laugh. It's about making them comfortable. You get ahead if you can play a sport and give them entertainment. You also get ahead if you are a rapper. Especially if you're denigrating your community, if you hate black women, if you want to kill black men, and you think the black community is garbage, and you want to give all your money away to the Gucci store, then they love that. I went to a concert last week, and it was one number of white people in line waiting to see a black man stand up on the stage and call himself the N-word, right? They love that stuff. They love that. They love when you denigrate yourself, and they love it, right? So what I'm here to just simply say is, it's an uphill battle trying to say, like, hey, maybe we should actually have some pride in ourselves. It's hard to say, like, maybe we shouldn't call ourselves the N-word because it's just such a habit. And the word just rolls off your tongue. And I have done it. I did it when I was younger, but until I kind of thought about it and said, man, like, well, how can I tell a white man not to call me that if I'm calling myself that in every other sentence? That's got to be confusing as shit. I'm sorry. That's got to be pretty confusing, right? And so there's, so anyway, here's the thing. Here's what I'm getting at. When you talk about, let's get back to Uncle Joe. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. You're watching drboystv.com, the home for intelligent black people. Also, this podcast is on Spotify. So if you go to Spotify and look up my name, Boyce Watkins, you'll find the Dr. Boyce breakdown. And also, I'll be in Dallas this weekend with Tim Jackson and my wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins. And we're doing a 2-day Black Wealth Summit and training camp. And it's going to focus on a deep dive analysis of my new book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power, which you can actually find on Amazon if you want to go take a look. It's a cheap book, easy read, powerful tools that you can apply to your family. And also, last but not least, tomorrow night, Julian Gordon, let me talk about Julian Gordon for a second, because as I talk about the things that are wrong, I want to talk about the things that are right. I love Julian Gordon. Let me tell you why I love Julian Gordon. Julian Gordon is the only black person on earth in history that I know of who has actually helped black people acquire $267 million worth of real estate. We should clap for that. Julian Gordon literally has helped black people acquire $250 million worth of land. You show me any celebrity anywhere. I'm talking about the billionaire celebrities. I'm talking to you, Diddy. I'm talking to you, Dr. Dre. I'm talking to you, Jay-Z. Show me a black man or black woman anywhere that has helped black people acquire $250 million worth of real estate. Do y'all understand how significant that is? He ain't just telling you, oh, let's all go vote for the same politician. He's not saying, oh, Lord, let's all go to church and pray that white folks are going to be nice to us. He's not saying, hey, y'all, let's get together for the march and the rally. That's going to really change things. Julian said, go own some damn land, and that's how you get that power. That these are the people that are going to move the community forward. It's the grassroots people. Think about this. Julian did this without any base. He didn't have big corporations backing him. He didn't have 20 million Instagram followers. He didn't have a #1 album. He didn't have a hit movie out. He was just a black man that wanted to make a difference. So this sticks to my point where I've told you all that it's going to be intelligent black people who own the future. It's going to be intelligent black people who move the community forward. Because Julian's the guy who he's not going to take you to the ice cream parlor. He's going to take you to the gym. That's why I love Julian. That's my man right there. But anyway, Julian's going to come into the Black Business School tomorrow night at 8 p.m. If you want to join that event, he's going to talk about owning multifamily real estate and what he's doing. If you'd like to be a part of that, go to my website, boycewatkins.com. I got the link right there. It's right at the top of my website, boycewatkins.com. So anyway, so with that being said, I want to draw the contrast. I want to draw the contrast between the things that are working and the things that are not working. Generational wealth works. I don't know a single black person who's got generational wealth who is sitting around feeling like the white man has his foot on his neck. I just don't. I don't know a single black person. I can tell you what, when I meet black people that are financially secure, who have savings in the bank, who have some investment properties, who have multiple streams of income, they're not sitting around stressing over how their boss treats the white people better than the black people. They don't give a shit. They quit. If they don't like the job, they walk away. So I'm not sitting here saying that these issues are not real. I'm not sitting here saying that politics don't matter. I'm simply saying that as a mathematician, it is my job to look for the solution. When I was teaching mathematics at the University of Kentucky, you couldn't get credit for solving a problem by simply whining about it. You get whining about the problem. That might be something you do in your spare time because some of those problems are hard. Some of those math problems and those equations took a week to solve. So we would whine about it, but then we would realize that whining is not the solution. So when I think about these pimps in the pulpit, I'm thinking about these pimps with the NAACP and some of these guys in the church, and all they do is they'll get on Twitter or wherever or in the pulpit, and they'll constantly say, well, if that white man, if he was white, it wouldn't have been like that. Or if he had been a black man instead of a white man, they wouldn't have treated him like that. And they're just reminding you of the obvious. They're reminding you that white people are going to treat themselves better than they treat you. And then when you get to people like Joe Biden, and whether or not Joe Biden is a white supremacist, well, you're damn right he is. Has anybody looked at the details of that crime bill? Has anybody ever looked at what Joe Biden did when Joe Biden decided that he wanted to incarcerate millions of people as in response to the crime wave in the early 1990s, which, by the way, was created by the government putting crack cocaine in black communities. They put crack cocaine in the communities. They got rid of the industrialization, so there's no jobs, but plenty of crack. Next thing you know, black men are trying to, do whatever they're going to do, and things are happening. And then suddenly they're like, oh, we're going to solve your problem. So they're basically the people that are like, put roaches in your house and then show up and charge you for the extermination. Like you have a roach problem. You don't know where the roach problem came from. And you're like, damn, we need help with the roaches. So you call the exterminator, and you don't know the exterminator who's charging you to kill the roaches is the one who put the roaches in the house in the first place. They are notorious. This is capitalism. Capitalism 101. As a finance professor, I know capitalism extremely well. And one thing about capitalism that's crazy is capitalism will create a problem just so they can charge you money to solve it. You will go into the grocery store. They will have donuts at the front of the grocery store and your diabetes medication in the back. So enjoy the donuts with your fat ass. And then when you so bloated and overweight and your knees don't work and your body's falling apart, oh, we got a pill that is going to make you feel better. That's going to keep you alive just long enough for us to drain the rest of your money before you die. That's the game. That's the game. So Joe Biden, it's fascinating to me how many black people somehow think Joe Biden is a changed man. But then again, this goes back to the old Negro tradition of forgiveness. We'll forgive anything. We are trained. We are wired for hundreds of years to just. Dylan Roof shot up a whole church. They were in the courtroom screaming, "We forgive you!" Like 3 days later. I couldn't believe it. I've never seen anything like that. That's a mental illness. And so Joe Biden, let me ask you this. Okay, so let's think. Okay, so people, I hear people that'll say to me, well, Doc, Joe Biden has changed, and Uncle Joe is he's not the man that he was in the 1990s. He's changed. Okay, so I'm going to ask you this: when Joe Biden created the three strikes law, I want to ask you, did he make room for forgiveness and redemption? What do you think? Did Joe Biden did he say, gosh, we want to create space so that individuals who maybe grew up in a tough environment or were hit by some generational curses, we want to make sure that they get another opportunity. Like, did he say that? Was that his language? Has anybody ever heard Joe Biden's speeches when he spoke about the three strikes law? Anybody? Let me just see if I can find some. Oh man, you gonna like this. This is, oh Lord Jesus, this is something else. Joe Biden would probably not be forgiving you the way you are so eager to forgive him. In his speech, which was very famous in 1993, he basically said, we have predators on our streets that society has, in fact, in part, because of its neglect, created. So he acknowledges society created these predators. He says they are beyond the pale, many of these people, beyond the pale. And it's a sad commentary on society. We have no choice but to take them out of society. Then he goes on. Now, I want you forgiving Negroes to hear this. And I want you to ask yourself, would he forgive you the way you're forgiving him? And let's keep going. He says, there's a cadre of young people. Now, mind you, these so-called young people are now in their 40s. A cadre of young people, tens of thousands of them, born out of wedlock. Who the hell you think he's talking about? You think he's talking about white kids from the suburbs? You think he's talking about, or do you think he's talking about you? Right? Born out of wedlock. I know he was talking about me because I was born out of wedlock, without parents, without supervision, without any structure, without any conscience developing, because they literally have not been socialized. So you are an animal in his eyes. He's talking about you like you are an animal, like a dog, have not been socialized. They literally have not had an opportunity to be socialized. We should focus on them now, because if we don't, they will, or a portion of them will become predators 15 years from now. And when he said focus on them now, he wasn't talking about community centers. He didn't put $10 billion toward after school programs and he was talking about locking them up. He's like, we got to get these kids off the street before they become scary adults. Let's keep reading here. Then Joe Biden, Uncle Joe, let's click on, everybody type Uncle Joe in the chat. This is from Uncle Joe. This is the uncle that molested you. Then Senator Biden was referring specifically to violent crimes and select quotes. He was not talking about a kid stealing a candy bar, but someone who committed assault, manslaughter, or murder, says Russo in a CNN email. In contrast, he says in the same speech that we need a different approach to nonviolent crimes. Okay, so he does try to redeem it by saying if the crime's nonviolent, we look at it different. But remember, that's three strikes law basically said 3 strikes and you're out. He compared it to baseball. He said we must take back the streets. It doesn't matter whether or not the person that is accosting your son or daughter, or my son or daughter, my wife, your husband, or my mother, your parents. It doesn't matter whether they were not, or whether or not they were deprived as a youth. It doesn't matter whether or not they had no background that enabled them to become socialized into the fabric of society. It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society. The end result is that they're about to knock my mother on the head with a lead pipe, shoot my sister, beat up my wife, take on your sons. I'm the guy that said rehabilitation, when it occurs, we don't understand it and notice it. And even when we notice it and when we know it occurs, we don't know why. So you cannot make rehabilitation a condition for release. Let me say that again. So you cannot make rehabilitation a condition for release. That sounds to me like he's saying, even if you're rehabilitated, we ain't letting you out. You're gone. You're out of here. He says, I don't care why someone is a malefactor in society. I don't care why someone is antisocial. I don't care why they become a sociopath. We have an obligation to cordon them off from the rest of society. That means lock them up forever. Try to help them, try to change the behavior. That's what we do in this bill. We have drug treatment. We have other treatments to try to deal with it, but they are in jail. So effectively, when Joe Biden talked about that crime bill, and when he came up with the 3 strikes law, he took away the judge's ability to even consider you as a human being. He took that away. He said, look, you can't even as a judge do anything other than the mandatory minimum. If you see that this kid has potential or that this kid could, it looks like they could go on to college and do well, doesn't matter. If they meet certain parameters, you must lock them up for a certain amount of time. I don't know about y'all, but I don't think that's forgivable. And I think that does qualify for white supremacy, because if those laws were applied equally, his son Hunter would have been locked up in 2005. His son Hunter would have been under the jail. If Hunter Biden had been a black man, I assume you know, give me a yes if you know the story of Hunter Biden. If Hunter Biden were a black man, Hunter Biden would not be a free man. If Hunter Biden were a black man, Hunter Biden would be serving a 30-year prison sentence right now. So this was not applied to everybody. I mean, again, all the people running around here screaming about racism, fine. If you're going to talk about racism, talk about this. Talk about the fact that Joe Biden's own son was protected from the laws that would have put your son up under the jail. And so some of these pimps in the pulpit, and these pimps carrying these long-legged pimps carrying water, selling the black community to the Democrats every election. I'm going to challenge you and say that's inappropriate. Because the other thing too is, I don't even know if it's necessary, if we can necessarily call Biden just a white supremacist. And maybe that's in there, but I almost see it as not so much just white supremacy. I see it as something maybe a little bit different and unique to him, which might be just black oppressor. Like it's not so much that he hates anybody who's not white, because pay attention now, he's taking real good care of immigrants coming from across the border, from the south of the border, putting them in places like Chicago and other places, giving them houses and money and all that. He's taking real good care of Ukrainians, but they're white people too, right? And they're going to replace you with the immigrants. That's the goal. The goal is these black people are getting too intelligent. They're getting too smart. They're challenging us. We got to get rid of them so that we can have a new voting base. So they're like, let in as many people from south of the border as we can. We'll give them jobs and opportunities that black people used to get. And then we'll have a new voting base in the next 5 to 10 years. And for some reason, some of these black people are supporting these policies. But the thing is, so rather than calling him a white supremacist, maybe we would call him just a person who hasn't really done a lot for black people, who doesn't really care about black people. So anytime you call a Republican a white supremacist, I need you to pick a Democrat and say the same thing. Just like that old song, we all in the same gang. They all in the same gang. They're all in the same gang. And so ultimately, when he talked about you and your children or you when you were a kid, he was talking about people that are quote unquote beyond the pale. That's a way of dehumanizing you. And by basically saying, you know what, these inner city kids, they're just done. They're gone. We need to go ahead and throw them away and get rid of these people before they hurt somebody. And in fact, he had another quote where he was talking about even years later, where he said something that people took as a racist statement. I don't know if it was so bad, but it was about Barack Obama. Anybody remember when he said, you've got the first sort of mainstream African-American who is articulate, right? Anybody remember that when he called Barack articulate, and he said he's the first mainstream African-American who's articulate, which is like insane to me, when there's like literally been millions and millions and millions of black people who've been incredibly articulate. And so what he's basically saying is that Barack was the first black man accepted by white people who was articulate, and that's the first one he acknowledged. So I'm gonna just say this. I think black people have to stop looking for love in all the wrong places. I don't have a problem when people call out the Republicans for their BS or whatever. I just don't understand why you're afraid to call out the Democrats. I also don't understand why you somehow are trying to convince people that what you've been doing is actually working. In my view, if Uncle Joe was really redeeming himself, it doesn't come in the form of an acknowledgement. It doesn't come in the form of changed behavior. It doesn't come in the form of even an apology. It should come in the form of a reparations check, a really big one, like a $14 trillion reparations check. If that were to happen, I would still never forgive his original crime, but I would at the very least vote for him so he could pay me back. Right? That's what I would do. I would consider supporting him, but then again, though, the problem is that they lie. I told you guys yesterday, they made all these promises when Ice Cube was standing up for the black community the way that he did, and I respected that. They called him and they told him that we'll talk to you after the election, but they never followed up. So you got bad credit. I don't even believe anything that you promised now because you've broken so many promises to black people because they don't respect you. They just don't respect you. And I'm not really talking to every black person out here. I'm talking to the black people who have self-respect. I'm talking to the black people who expect, that you're going to treat me the way you want me to treat you. You're voting for me. If I'm voting for you, you got to vote for me. And I am, for whatever reason, it makes me very sad. There are so many of us who are so damn scared, so scared. Like, just like, what's the worst that can happen? How much worse can things get? You have all these cities, all these districts run by Democrats that you voted for, and these districts are in terrible condition, falling apart. I'm not saying the Republicans didn't do anything better. So anybody who comes to me when they hear me say this and they say, well, what are we supposed to do? Vote for the Republicans? That tells me you're limited in your thinking. They've tricked you into the Burger King, McDonald's mindset. You think that if I say, well, Burger King does not have healthy food, you think that I'm saying, oh, we got to go eat at McDonald's. Who the hell taught you that? Who taught you that if you don't eat at Burger King, you got to go eat at McDonald's? How many of y'all, give me a yes in the chat if you avoid both Burger King and McDonald's? How many of you, give me a yes in the chat if you believe maybe you can go build your own restaurant, or maybe you can grow your own food, or you can go fast for a little while. Maybe you can go to find a health food store somewhere else. Maybe, how many of you would avoid, give me a yes if you would avoid both Burger King and McDonald's, or avoid both Coke and Pepsi. Just because I ain't drinking a Coke don't mean I got to drink a damn Pepsi. That Coke, Pepsi, McDonald's, Burger King thinking is like the saddest type of thinking that I can imagine, because it reflects both low intelligence, limited exposure, limited courage, and very low self-esteem. If you really are a black person who truly believes that you need these evil ass white folks, to have your back in order for you to survive, or you got to support them in order for you to not get killed by Trump or whatever it is you're afraid of, I want to help you. I want to convince you, like, you can survive. Our ancestors came out of slavery and were building universities with their bare hands. They would build a school with one room and educate kids better than the damn Chicago public school system. You had ancestors that had courage. I'm asking you to, black men, I'm asking you, like, drop your nuts and do something masculine for a damn change. Stop being a punk. Stop being scared. Stop always running around complaining and whining about being oppressed. A man does not whine like that. A man's supposed to stand up and fight. And same thing for black women. Lord Jesus, every time, every election, they always say, thank you, black women. Black women saved us again. I love black women, and black women saved me. God bless all of you. But why would you save somebody who doesn't love you? Why would you save somebody who wants your son in prison for 30 years? Like, why would you save somebody who isn't reciprocating, who's letting your whole community fall apart? I'm not telling you that you can't do what you want to do, but there's no pride in loving somebody who never loves you back. There's not a lot of dignity in that. And I'm not saying that it makes you a good person and a noble person, but I don't want you to always end up at the back of the bus and at the bottom of the barrel. I want you to succeed, and I want you to win, because I know that you want the community to come back as well as I do. At least those of you that are listening to the words that I'm saying right now. So generally speaking, I think as black people, those of us who see what's going on, I encourage you, do whatever the hell you feel like doing. Don't let nobody talk you out of it. And when somebody comes with that Burger King, McDonald's analogy, even when they start doing, like, they say, well, what are we supposed to do? Vote for the Republicans? Just say, oh, that's the Burger King, McDonald's argument that doesn't work, and explain it to them. Maybe they need to be educated. Maybe they need to be given courage. Maybe they need to get their self-esteem. I understand. I used to be in that whole Democrat Republican nonsense too. I was a hardcore Democrat up until I was about 33 and realized that it doesn't work, that we're not making any progress. And so it takes time. And so I forgive you for not what you do if you're in that category. But as far as the people that are exploiting the community and exploiting your pain and constantly whining about racism just to get you riled up so you'll show up and vote for other people, just know that's going to be on 10 in 2024. And an election year, during election years, if you pay attention, if you've seen as many as I have, you'll notice that during election years, they tend to say, what can we do to trigger black people? What can we do to get them to be sensitive? Because we know that they're scared. We know that they're emotional. So how can we create some sort of chaos so that they'll start to get riled up. And then when they get riled up, first thing they're going to do is make sure that they feel like they're fighting back by showing up and voting for the person who's running against the Republican. That's the game. I don't want you to watch it. I want you to pay attention and look for the game when you see it. And when you see it, I want you to say in the chat, hey, Doc, I see that they're playing the game again. So it's the same play. They run it over and over again, and it works because then you can then you hear commentary on like the Ricky Smiley show about how they racist, y'all. They so racist, y'all. These Republicans so racist, y'all. And then we do what we're expected to do. And no disrespect to Ricky Smiley and all those guys, but I encourage you to have more intelligent conversations. But I don't really know if you can really do that because you're probably financially entrapped by the Democrats because they can write big checks. So they don't write checks to the community. They won't write a reparations check, but they will write checks to the gatekeepers because the gatekeepers are designed to control you. They're not black leaders. They're really Negro managers. Their goal is to manage and herd you the same way a cowboy is herding sheep, taking all the sheep to slaughter, or herding cattle and getting all the cattle to go into the slaughterhouse. That's what they do. They manage you and they keep you in a certain box so that they can deliver you for the people that are paying them money. Because what happens during election years is that their revenue goes up. These struggling media outlets that are looking for ad dollars, looking for opportunities, whatever, they come along and they say, we're going to buy your loyalty. And again, I have no problem with certain transactions as long as they're ethical. But the problem is that it does not benefit the masses of black people. It benefits the people at the top. It benefits the so-called elite. So another piece of this, and last thing I'm going to say, and then I'm going to be done, is I think that we have to be very conscious about who we select as our so-called leaders and the people we listen to. I can be one of the voices that you listen to, but I don't want to be the only voice. I want you to listen to voices that have your best interests at heart. So the best thing I'm going to do, the thing I want to do for you right now is to say, look, don't follow me. Don't believe what I believe. Don't do what I do. I want you to do what's best for you. And I want you to sit back and think about it and say, what would make my life better? What really matters to me? What am I feeling? How do I feel about all these issues the Democratic Party and the Republicans bring to me? And then go in the direction of your conscience. Just do what you want to do. Be free. That's what freedom looks like. So to hell with these damn gatekeepers, man. They make me mad. This old nonsense. You need to stop that stuff. So anyway, guys, I'm done. I'm finished talking. Thank you so much for listening. I'm headed to Dallas today. I'm about to get on the airplane. We're about to do a 2-day Black Wealth Summit in Dallas. If you'd like to join us, fly down, feel free. There'll be other Black wealth builders in the building. The whole focus is wealth and just all these tools that we have in terms of ways to generate extra income, ways to build an economy within your own family, ways to start the family business. And by gathering everyone together, it gives you an opportunity to meet other people, not just me. I'll be there, but really I'm not the important one in the room. The fact that there's over 100 people who are thinking on the same wavelength is opportunity in terms of finding clients, building business, developing things together, starting investment clubs. So feel free to join us in Dallas. If you'd like to join us, just go to BoyceWatkins.com. And also the All Black National Convention happens October 20th in Atlanta at the Marriott Marquis Hotel. I put a link on my website for that also. And also tomorrow night, Julian Gordon, the brother who helped Black people acquire $250 million in real estate, is coming into the Black Business School tomorrow night at 8 p.m. There's a link on my website for that as well. It's totally free to the community. Come on in. You're going to like what Julian has to say because, as I told you, there's no celebrity, there's no Black person I can think of anywhere, including your highest paid celebrities, who can say, I help Black people acquire $250 million in real estate. And eventually it's going to become $1 billion, then $2 billion, $3 billion, $4 billion. That's how you build generational wealth, not with a bunch of yapping. Julian is getting it done. So God bless you guys. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for listening. And please hit the thumbs up button on your way out the door. And I will see you guys very, very soon. Take care now. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, 1010. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Voice TV. Here we are.